Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. So I had this really weird error that I had earlier. Let's see. What did I do? There we go. Where even though, what's your problem? Oh, this didn't click. That's the problem. Even though this is RVM and gem sets are supposed to totally isolate everything, readline just broke for random unknown reasons. So I don't think I've got console yet or editor yet. Do we have? So we've got development docs. This is guard. It's pry. Yeah, I don't care about guard. Well, I mean, I've got guard, but I don't care about pry. Pry is something guard brought in and could go away as far as I'm concerned. And it's definitely environment dependency because nothing about this thing has changed. Oh. Oh, okay. Is that the thing where they've switched to HTTPS, but that was in the gem file, so fine. Okay, so the basic environment and tests work. Now, I don't know if I can actually figure this thing out. It might be something. Unable to create thread. Resource temporarily unavailable. Reaching the timeout value. There's scale down. Shut down and a new job coming in. Server middleware are run per thread. The unique instance per thread. The thread management information isn't shared and it's creating at least one monitor per worker. It's doing unique middleware per job. It would. Okay, so we found that problem. And I clicked through instead of opening that. So this is the temporary solution. And it was closed after no feedback on reproduction. So there's this where we found a solution. There's that where we had that. Yeah, supposedly fix. Thread error can't relic thread. So thread server line 52. Thread server. Start the monitoring thread if it's not running. Thread or thread new. Where run does a sleep and then waits. And it's failing on line 52, which is attempting to create the thread. It doesn't say, not yet clear where it's triggering this. In new, so that's the thread new, wait for downscale, ensure in call. Sidekick middleware entry point. So we call the middleware and then so if a job, this is the server middleware, I think we were saying in the other thread. So we say, okay, we just had a job queued. So we're now active. Actually, I have to check exactly where sidekick calls, server calls come in. Maybe it's when doing the job. And then we wait for that to go down, which memoizes the thread so that we only do that once for this. And this was to run per thread with a unique instance per thread. It isn't shared at least one monitor per worker. Okay, so we've got a mutex. Monitor. Okay, so that actually moved to monitor instead of being in the server itself. And there's some mutex stuff to synchronize active now, idle time, mutex. And monitor is right, so we define a singleton when the class is initialized. We fetch that here. And then all of the operations go up to that singleton for the thread to actually watch. But thread.new is in wait for downscale, which is a monitor method. So it's saying thread or. So this is a singleton, which is memoizing its thread variable. If they started running jobs in completely different contexts, middleware chain, Sidekick plugin, and that's Rollbar Sidekick plugin. So we've got middleware chain, Scout APM. Application monitoring. So we've got Rollbar for errors, and then Scout is application monitoring. So we care about specifically about Ruby gems. So we don't know which version he's using unless he gave us a complete gem file. No, and I still have to read into this. Sidekick. Configure client. Client middleware. What's the client? So that's, per instance, should be fine. Okay, so he has mailers, he has default, he has low priority, and ahoy, which are all using the same basic draw. All using Heroku. Okay. Maybe it's all the same worker. Max workers. Heroku, brand new Heroku platform scaler. And that's an end variable, so it's probably defaulting from there rather than being explicitly passed in. Strategy is essentially the same strategy. There are different processes, so it doesn't matter if they're using different objects. How does that compare to examples? So default queue, that's... Worker process type is the same as the queue name. Scalable, so that's setting up a set of queues. Okay, so that's for the client. So it's doing that once and then calling it once per client. Queue is queue token app. That's just a hash which has the queue to queue. Heroku platform. Worker process type is the same as the queue name. Okay, so it's going to default to type worker. He's using a generic Heroku, so all of those are going to be handled by type worker. So he's got a couple different queues. They're all handled by type worker with the default end variables. And that's client. For server, right, so this is for setting up different processes that are scaled independently. He's only going to have worker. So that's reusing the scalar we defined above, even though it's a different process starting it up. Probably should have pulled out the process variable here. Okay, Sidekick server. Maybe I didn't update this example. What is the word? Yeah. Well, this is probably loading a specific thing, huh? Autoscaler Sidekick. Server is this default thread server. Probably because I used to just call it server. I don't know exactly what version he's using. Oh yeah. This thing's been bugged. All right, CD. So we're having this specifically in. Oh no, this is 2.4. Oh, it actually is. Oh, this is Ruby 2.5.0 and. Okay, well, actually, we are getting some useful versions here. So this is, well, it's the repo, so it will have versions in it. Probably. So he specifically had this on 2.4.21. in background job. Integration sidekick. Install tracer, add middleware, install processor. Scan APM tracer, configure server, server and middleware, sidekick middleware, agent instance. That might be a singleton kind of thing itself. There's the sidekick middleware. Start layer. Layer new job class. Start layer, stop layer. Well, it's probably times. Well, are you doing your own thread things? I guess that's what I'm really curious about. Test is doing thread things. Test is doing thread things. Instant reporting, app server load. Agent is doing a thread. Request manager, well, it's thread.current. Remote server, background recorder. Thread.new. Background worker. Periodic work. That's, well, I guess I had a few layers of my own gems, so. Background worker. Test.call. Does do a loop with the sleep. Periodic work. So this is more off the place to have context for a function that does all this stuff. So they are adding some additional threads. I don't... Instant reporting. So I think that's a one-off thread to do the reporting. I think. Payload reporter.report. And then it's done. This isn't a tracked request, which sounds more like it's a web layer. A stack of layers go into and then come out of layer forgotten as they finish. Hence the root layer off to be recorded. So maybe it is there? Direct request test. Test. parting track requests. Request manager. So it has class.create. So it has a thread. So the class makes a sort of singleton thread tracked request. It sounds like it shouldn't be creating a lot of threads. Okay, so we've got Ruby 2.50. We've got possibly a different version of Sidekick. We do have a gemfile.lock, so let's change context. We'd have to update that. Do a total reset on gemfile lock. Well, which will kind of happen from the gems, but we wouldn't want to lock anything down. We would want to install right now gem spec. We are on Sidekick 5. So we have to temporarily set that to be Ruby 2.5, Sidekick 5.2.5. Oh, we've already modified gemfile. Well, just in case. Well, some of these files might not even be checked in. But we need to update that rvm use and gemset autoscaler at yep. All right, and then we need to rm gemfile.lock gem file, we want to say that we want gem sidekick exactly 2.5.2, 2.5.2.5. Oh. Oh. In gem file. I don't see that in gem file. Maybe gem spec? Oh, well, that shouldn't matter much. Gem uninstall bundler. What is the most recent one version of bundler? Well, those are development dependencies, so as long as you're defining it in production, it shouldn't be an issue. Two point oh point 1. 1.17.3 is the last one series. All right. So, given all of the versions of things, ew. So something changed in Redis that wasn't an explicit dependency, but that wasn't the issue. What do we say? We have no explicit dependent on Redis. It's kind of implied through side. Well, the test suite then should. Spec. Okay, so the gem well, we have kind of Redis. So it's the test suite that really depends on Redis, but that would still be a development dependency. Do you have a changelog? This would probably have to be a breaking change. They removed a method. Removed Redis connect, use Redis new. Well, that's kind of annoying. So I've got 3 tests. All right, for now, let's just get this working. All right, so we rerun the entire suite. We'll worry about doing some point release for the tests later. Okay, so all the tests still pass. So I'd have to work out a test environment with Scout APM and Rollbar. So it's thread server. It has to be on the worker process. Could there be something with multiple queues calling the same thing? Well, that's in the client. That really shouldn't be affecting... shouldn't be calling thread server on the client. So it wouldn't be add the chain. It would be chain.add. So thread server is supposed to use a monitor with a mutex to avoid multi-threading issues. And the issue was that Sidekick had already threaded or processed or something each of the servers, so we had to use a singular instance. Gem spec. It is Sidekick 5. Changes. The last thing we mentioned was 5.0. I remember the last thing we tested was. So if there was a behavior change, it should probably be 5.1 or 5.2. Global death handlers. Query cache within jobs by default. Schedule timing is more accurate. Exceptions during the startup event will kill the process. Decrease default concurrency from 25 to 10. Remove concurrent Ruby gem dependency. Fix concurrent modification error during heartbeat. There is a 5.2.3. Race condition in defining workers. I don't know if defining workers. Appreciations for 6. Nothing super enlightening there. And the tests are really only a development issue, so anyone doesn't need to do a version for that. So really there's a lot of stuff in well, I don't necessarily want to figure out the configuration for rollbar in Scout APM. Can't, I mean, that's an environment thing. But I don't really know when it's happening. Well, it'll do a thread.new. When we go into post job, so that ensures that a thread is running. But it rescues and says thread nil. So if, well, I mean, that should cause the thread to reach the end of its block and terminate. But that would permit it to keep allocating new threads to run new things, which would error. Well, if the run failed. Active now, sleep, strategy.call. Desired number of workers. Determines target workers. Strategy.call, system idle time. So that's probably 15 seconds. So sleep for 15 seconds, target workers. So for that to fail, not done. Okay, we've got an explicit thing to terminate. While not done, but we don't actually prevent us from starting. Oh, that might also be a testing thing. And then value asks for the thread, so that wait until that thread finishes. Says while not done. But if the thread body has exceptioned, it should return and clean up the thread. Yeah, I really feel like I need more information. Uh, uh, well, okay. Uh, because, all right, clicked over to this. From an issue, related to 59. This would be a fork of I don't think there's anything particular in this scaling strategy that's seems suspect. And I guess there's linear scaling, which I was briefly able to pass the gem off and somebody else added that. Okay, so max workers, worker capacity. That's a very different balance. Than the default. Max numbers can scale to total capacity of max workers. So Sidekick has been changing their default to 10. Amount of jobs one worker can handle. Right. So you are saying you want 9 workers, minimum work required for to scale as percentage of worker capacity. So that's going to end up being a 0 in the default settings. So that's going to be literally 1 worker per job in that setting. Don't scale past number of currently engaged workers, past number of max workers. So that's, well, that's a max to a min to a min. Minimum of min workers. So current workers, ideal workers. Don't scale up past number of max workers. So minimum is our, right, that's max workers. Min workers is this. Yeah, so max workers is that. Okay, so we go min to max. Wait, min workers to max workers dot min. And then we take the min of min workers and max workers. Which feels like it's just reproducing this. Okay. Don't scale down past number of currently engaged. Okay, that's the total work is the number of jobs that the system has. Total capacity, so he's saying max workers, requested capacity per, oh. But there is a max workers, so that's your total capacity. So if he does 10 jobs, or 20 jobs on a 9 capacity, he's going to get a very high percentage. Right, min capacity percentage. So minus 0, minus 0. Requested is going to be larger than total. Total capacity is the number of jobs. Number of jobs. Ideal workers. Okay, so that's doing sign checking effectively. So ideal workers is still possibly larger. But we're still going to limit ourselves to max workers. So in theory, it'll go 1 worker per job. But if you enqueue a couple of jobs at once, it's going to be spinning those up very fast. Although I guess anytime you just add a bunch of jobs, you'd get a similar effect. So the only thing I could do is try to set up a sample config, but I also don't know what all of his gems are doing. Can't alloc thread. So in theory, the mutex protects this from a bunch of stuff trying to start up at once. And all going through here, but maybe I don't know my mutex is that well? Idle time, activity, terminates a special case. Maybe I need to synchronize making the thread, although that synchronizing around making a thread could get a little weird. All right, what do we got? Got a little bit of time probably. Unfortunately, I don't see an easy way to reproduce that right now. That's OBS. That was what I did before. I don't know. Oh, probably maybe the terminal's catching it. Anyway. Probably a good time for a break, and then I am going to look at switching projects. I think I got a little PR for Planetary Annihilation.
Wow.
But going down, you're basically flying.
What the hell? That was interesting.
Yeah, I'm
Get out of here.
Good job. You fucking him up.
These look way more natural. Instead of just a rotten. I don't even know what to call it. Push it back.
No, he didn't get XP. He did, but not much. Because he didn't kill it. Then let's kill this thing.
Doesn't look very natural. But whatever. That's a big tree, Jesus. Put that in the back. That looks a little better. What? Why didn't that accept? Oh, shoot. Duplicated. Click down. There you go.
Get out of here.
Good job. He fucking.
Alright. We can get this webcam back on. So I've got a few things to arrange here. Do we have... Yeah, I need to get an actual copy of that. So we've got a couple of things we need here. I need an actual copy of this. Yeah, so this so I need to be, well, so this kind of goes away because we'll have a copy of that here. We will have and I'm probably going to have to remove this before adding local client files. The mod manager doesn't handle that very gracefully. Maybe you'd still have uninstall for the local one, I'm not sure, because that might be an ambiguous command. And this takes forever to start up lately. Maybe they're trying to preload everything more. I guess the one thing we can do while we wait. So Kitch has been doing some fancy stuff. Okay, so he had to include this somewhere else. It might be necessary for it to set up different teams when it comes to making the actual match. Installed. No, actually, uninstall that. All right, now get clone. So I normally like to just take these things and do a straight up merge rather than showing the merge commit, especially for relatively simple flows. So, also, this I'd like to name my remotes after the places they came from, so keep track of them easier. CD get remote. Get remote rename. Get remote add. All right, so now this I won't really be able to. He says next version. That was 21 hours ago. Well, actually, we could probably look here. Available. That date. Maybe on the 2nd. That date was on the 1st. So probably not. Last commit 18 hours ago. We'd probably see add recommended mods. Add occasional FFAs. Update README, fix changelog. Unless that showed the updated files. Well, mod info, yeah, 2 days ago. So this is in fact next version. So I don't have a way to test this. I guess I'm just going to have to trust that Twitch has tested it. So git checkout. Arctic War AI. And then we have to hack things up because mods really doesn't support local development. That's the README, so we need mod info. And hope we don't forget to change this. Okay. Actually, I probably need to clean these up after the other day. So this is looking at foes. Foreign intelligence. Model.selection.system.star.ai. Foes.map. This is a foes.map intelligence. Foes.map intelligence. Okay, so commanders, the minions. So there's still the primary commander, there's the minions and the foes. And we don't really have... Well, I guess you could... Maybe could re-add the... The only commander we've got is the main one, which it won't recursively do those properties, so it's probably fine. So actually we've kind of got this here. Well, model.selection, yeah. And like some of these, okay, so that's an object. That is a direct object. Commanders.push. So that is the primary. Star.ai is an object. So if we go... and then we do AI dot foes equals I don't remember if those were originally sub KO objects. What we're doing with it will be the same. And then we go back to here and we reset this value type converting circular well, they're probably trying to convert it to a value. So, yeah, I probably needed to, like, duplicate it or something. But we see that it does show up. So, I think we take that, and then it looks like I committed the dev version of this with the direct values on it. So we take this, get status, get, check out this. So we have to go back to master, get check out master. Is there like, okay. Get merge get feature Galactic War AI overhaul foes. Okay, so that fast forward. Need to go back to dev for a little bit to check this change. So it's probably HTML, or is it going to be in the intelligence it fills out? No, because it's per line, so it has to be in the JavaScript. Alright, I don't know. Yeah, it didn't actually save that. Okay. And then, well, we can specify the file a little bit. So get status, get add. I mean, really UI. Looks like exact value. And then we need to do proper mod info updates. I mean, it's still compatible with that, but gbuild 113132. If assuming I haven't missed anything. 19. You don't have a good date. It's 4/3. Yeah. And version. That would be a feature update. Mod info. Yep, almost missed it again. Change log. Is here a particular description for this feature? Galactic Overwall AI FFAs. All right, so that's still running that. We've removed the dev. It's just that file and the changelog. Now, my release scripts are still on my other computer, so I guess, well, one thing we can check in preparation for that. Section of forward intelligence is currently pointing at a versioned file, so we're going to have to do a support post for that. All right, what else do we got? Do I have anything else? Yeah, we just need to push this. Okay, so that is thread error is like way down because I need feedback. Well, that stuff I'll get to when I get to it. Let's see. Might not have anything queued up that would be I don't have anything that's like an easy small project. I guess I could continue working on the Lua refactoring a bit. I think the main interface is about as good as it gets. But it's late enough that's like, I might just want to wrap up early today. Probably need to get a better list of like small things that I can do whenever I need something small. Well, so I actually also, well, I mean, that could still be Stepmania. Figure out what I want to do Friday. Yeah, it's close enough to late that I might just have to call it here. Don't know if I want to get into something completely new right now. So that was unfortunately short. I knew it was kind of some small projects. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for hosting. And schedule is changing. Tuesday and Thursday are going to go off for the time being. We'll see what goes on with that. Do we have any other? No, no other small ones. Well, all right, fine. So one of the places I might go next is when Wizard is doing 1 Hour 1 Life, and there's a whole bunch of new food, which I actually didn't get to a whole lot of myself. But if you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me, and hopefully I'll find a meteor project for Friday.